April 11th, 2026, 4 in the morning. The MV Hondius is 10 days out of Ushuaia, mid-Atlantic, bearing for St. Helena. A 70-year-old Dutch passenger is found unresponsive in his cabin. The ship's doctor signs the death as natural causes. 25 days later, the World Health Organization will declare it the first documented hantavirus cluster on a cruise ship in history. 3 are dead. 11 are confirmed infected. The case fatality rate is 38%. The strain is Andes virus, the only hantavirus on Earth that spreads person to person. This is how it began. November 27th, 2025. The Dutchman and his wife begin a 4-month road trip across South America. Chile in late November, Uruguay in January, Argentina in February and March. They are bird watchers. Their nights are spent in lodges, in rental cabins, in a small camper outside Bariloche. By the end of the trip, they have photographed more than 300 species. The Andes virus is endemic to this region. It lives in the lungs of the long-tailed pygmy rice rat. These rats do not bite. They do not need to. Their urine, saliva, and droppings carry the virus. When those droppings dry and lift on the dust, a single breath inside a cabin where rats have been living is enough. The man does not know any of this. He spends 15 nights at a remote estancia in southern Argentina. On the morning of March 3rd, he photographs an Andean condor at dawn. That is the last entry in his field notebook before he boards the ship. April 1st, 2026. Ushuaia, Argentina. The Hondius is a small Dutch expedition vessel, 196 berths, ice-strengthened hull, operated by ocean-wide expeditions out of Vlissingen. The route is one of the longest commercial cruises on the planet. Antarctica first, then South Georgia, Tristan da Cunha, St. Helena, Ascension Island, Cape Verde, Tenerife, 3 months at sea. 175 passengers board. The Dutch couple is among them. He has carried Andes virus in his lungs for somewhere between 30 and 40 days. He has no fever, no cough, no headache. The incubation period for hantavirus is 2 to 8 weeks. He is at the long end. No one screens for hantavirus before boarding. Until this voyage, it has never spread on a cruise ship. April 6th, 2026. The Hondius is cruising south of the Antarctic Circle. The Dutchman wakes with a fever and a dry cough. He sees the ship's doctor that afternoon. Diagnosis: influenza. He's told to rest. By April 9th, his breathing has shortened. On April 10th, his oxygen saturation reaches 81%. The ship's medical officer notes pulmonary edema, but has no diagnostic capacity for viral panels at sea. At 4:17 in the morning of April 11th, the wife wakes to find her husband unresponsive. He's pronounced dead 3 minutes later. Cause of death on the certificate is viral pneumonia. His body is held in the vessel's cold storage. No autopsy is performed. Nothing can be performed on the open ocean. His wife has held him through 3 nights of failing lungs. She's coughing now. She tells no one. The Hondius continues north, April 24th. St. Helena. The Hondius anchors offshore. 30 passengers disembark to begin a separate flight home, among them the wife. Her breathing has been failing for 9 days. She does not make her flight. Hospital staff on the small island stabilize her, and by evening she is in a medevac flight to Johannesburg. 2 days later, on April 26th, she dies. In the autopsy theater, the lungs of a 68-year-old woman who has just flown across the Atlantic show a pattern the pathologist does not recognize: bilateral, edematous, hemorrhagic. with the specific lacework of a viral pneumonia he has never seen at this scale. South African doctors call the National Institute for Communicable Diseases. A respiratory viral panel is run. Result: Andes virus. Pretoria calls Argentina. May 2, 2026. The Hondius is at sea, 4 days out of Cape Verde, 1,400 nautical miles from the nearest port that can handle a biohazard transfer. A 68-year-old German woman has been sick for 96 hours. She dies in her cabin at 6:12 in the evening. The captain calls the operator. Within 20 minutes, Oceanwide is on the line with the World Health Organization. Geneva is already involved. Pretoria called them 6 days earlier, the moment the South African viral panel returned. Argentine epidemiologists are sequencing tissue samples from the Dutch man. The genome is Andes virus. Its closest match sits in a specific reservoir in southern Patagonia. That reservoir species is the long-tailed pygmy rice rat. A breath of dust in a cabin in February has become a death in May. May 10th. Tenerife, Canary Islands. The president of the Canary Islands files an urgent objection to the ship's docking. Within 9 hours, the Spanish national government overrules him. The Hondius is allowed in. 145 remaining passengers and crew disembark under quarantine protocols. 16 Americans are flown to the Nebraska Biocontainment Unit in Omaha. 2 more are isolated at Emory University Hospital in Atlanta. The Centers for Disease Control declares a Level 3 emergency. 12 countries open contact tracing investigations. 240,000 passengers from Oceanwide's prior 6 months of operations are added to the watch list. Andes virus is the only known hantavirus on Earth that transmits person to person. It does this through respiratory droplets. Inside the MV Hondius, the infection rate among those aboard reaches 11%. Case fatality rate sits at 38%. No specific antiviral exists. No licensed vaccine exists. In the 18 months preceding the outbreak, United States federal funding for hantavirus research was cut by tens of millions of dollars. Remaining researchers work with reagents older than the ship. The CDC virologist who would have led the outbreak response is on a fellowship in La Paz, 4,000 miles from her laboratory. She learns about the cluster from a news alert on her phone. Hantavirus does not live in cities. It does not move between humans. Until now. The MV Hondius was watching for everything it had ever seen: measles, norovirus, COVID, Legionella in the cooling tower. What it watched for did not arrive. A virus from a dune in southern Argentina did, carried into the longest commercial sea route on Earth in the lungs of a birdwatcher. The system that watches for the diseases we know never knew to watch for this. Now it does.